everybody, and welcome to Ask the Answers podcast with myself, Adele and on today's show, we have been graced with this lovely gentleman. We've got the gorgeous Jason joining us today. Hello, Jason.
Hello, and thank you. I love your energy. So I love it when I connect to people with good, high energy because it gets me in the right energy as well. So thank you. And you're gorgeous too.
No falling asleep on this podcast.
No, and thankfully we got on here as well because we did have an issue with tech with Mercury retrograde, which we're currently in for the whole of November.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
we had a little blip with Sherry the other day as well. I think the gremlins are getting into the system, but we've been patient and finally getting there. We are consistent with getting through and getting people live on our podcast today. So Jason, it's going to be great finding out all about you, your experiences, how you've become the psychic you are today, but also what you're really passionate about and why you are the psychic that you are. So let's go back to a bit of the beginning of when you started getting into the spiritual world.
Yeah, okay. So for me, I've always felt very different. I'm definitely a people person and people have always gravitated to me from a child, but I've always felt like I didn't fit in, and it kind of makes more sense now. I'm 41, so I do feel so comfortable with myself, which is a good place to be at this age. But I wasn't always that way. I was painfully shy. I would get visions. I would see things. I just thought, it was normal to me. And I would obviously wake up as a child and have spirits in the room with me. And I do have a rule where I'm like, you can't come around me and disturb my life. I am here to live and have a good time as well as do what I do and help people. So there is like an invisible line of like, no, you can't kind of interrupt me, but you can send me messages and work that way. So I've got my own kind of agreement. Boundaries, which we all need in life anyway, with friends, family, etc. So that's been there from a young age. It is through my mother's side of the family. My guide is a gentleman called Bill William, Uncle Bill his name was, which was my mother's dad's stepdad in spirit. When I found that out when I was younger through another psychic, so I do go for readings and I've explored that journey as well, and we can talk about that later, but that came through at that point, and now it makes sense. And at first I was a little bit offended. I was like, well, that isn't someone actually in my family, but we're all soul family, aren't we? We've all got connections, and sometimes we create our family through friends and family. So so that's who I kind of channel with, as with the guides, archangels. I kind of say that I shoot straight up and I just get this direct hit to the universe. And I also feel like there's councils and things around where we've got permission to what we can say and what we can't say at that particular time. So there's the person's guides, my guides, and then we shoot straight up. And then I'm listening in, channeling, going, oh my God, and then asking questions on top of that. So there's a lot happening all at one time. So it's always been really, really natural. I never really used to think too much about it, but I was always very interested. And from a young age at school, at primary school, I would want to know about someone's star sign and astrological placements. So it was a natural thing. And I would always remember people's star signs over their name, and it's the same now. And I go, obviously I'm very social, I'm out there a lot, and I never remember names, but I'll remember star signs or even their partner's
star signs. People know the dogs' names when you're talking. They know the dogs' names, but don't know the human names. So it's just like, oh yeah, the Virgo, or and it's stuck with me. It's crazy. So I've always been linked with that from a young age, and always read that and almost made it my life's work looking at astrology and how people tick. But of course you need to know the full chart, the moon rising. So I have a Leo rising and an Aries moon, so I'm actually quite a fiery, steamy Pisces, and so I come across a lot more confident than I am in a social setting, which has been quite difficult when I was younger and being painfully shy. And then my Aries moon is where my work kicks in, and I'm very focused, very quick, very to the point. And obviously on the lines, we don't have much time with the client. So I will always try and get as much in a reading in that 20 minutes. And most people do then come back or extend as well, which is brilliant, because the longer you're in the energy, the more clearer it gets for me and for them, because none of it means anything to me. I have to try and make sense of what I'm channeling with them, and then I can ask more questions. So that's how it's led to now. But going back as well in regards to downloads, experiences, visions, so things would happen. So I remember dreaming about Princess Diana passing away.
and then I woke up to it the next day.
Oh,
and
wow.
then see it on the TV. But I don't think anything into it. You just kind of flip it off, don't you? And just go, because I never grew up in a super spiritual family. It was almost like the opposite. It was almost like it was there, but I didn't know where to go with it. So that would happen. Then when I was, I think, I can't remember how old I was at the time. I would have been around 16, 17 or maybe 18, but I was training as a dancer at that time, and I was in college, and it was a really boring health lesson. So I was sat there in my Piscean brain doodling away, and I was drawing skyscrapers with helicopters flying around at the same time. September 11 was happening, but I had no idea what that was at that age. I hadn't even gone abroad at that age, and never been to New York, didn't know what the Twin Towers were. Gary, the technician, came in. He was saying to everyone, like, oh, have you seen what's on the news? Because clearly he was watching that in his back office and not working. So then I went home, saw it on the TV. My mum and my brother were watching it, and I was just like, oh, that's really weird, and looked at the book. And so all of these things would happen. Even recently, I was on Ask the Answer on a call to a London client. She, like, obviously I've picked up on that. She's based in London, and she called for the 20 minutes, and then obviously it cuts the client off, and then they have the chance to come back on. So in that time, I'm holding the space just in case they do come back on, and I make little notes and things like that. And I just kept getting London Bridge, Windsor, London Bridge, Windsor. So she came back on, and I said, look, I keep getting London Bridge and Windsor. It must mean something. It's really repetitive, and it keeps coming really strongly. Now, I'm not really big on the news and the media, because I think there's so much that gets, twisted with that. So I don't watch it that often, but something made me switch the TV on that afternoon, and then it announced that the Queen had died. And then if you look into it, the media code and the term code for that was London Bridge, and obviously the link to Windsor, which again did affect that client and all of us, because we would hear about it. So it was one of those instant validations, which is great. And I love that kind of thing. So that's me kind of growing up, and then I've had like normal jobs, normal career. I'm very creative with my Piscean. I've worked in fashion, I've been in TV and film, like dancing, music videos, done TV, Hollyoaks, all manner of different things, feature films.
Nice.
But yeah, I've done all of that, and then I have been approached to do TV work for psychic work, but I don't want that. I don't want to be famous, if that makes sense. I like to be good at what I do, but underground. Because it can be a really taboo subject. And, when I go on holiday and then people find out what I do, then it's an hour podcast. So this podcast is going to save me so much time, Adele, because I'm going to be like, listen to this. And you will understand what I do and the history, so I don't have to keep repeating it, because it does become it's not a short description, is it? And some people don't get it, and some people are intrigued, and then they come out with loads of random questions. So this will actually be really beneficial, so thank you. But yeah, so those are just, so I do tap in and tap into collective consciousness, as well as one-to-one kind of reading. And I do feel like I have a bigger purpose and mission with that, and I've worked and read with celebrities and truthers and stuff like that, especially in lockdown and things like that. But I love helping people. I think when you're genuinely doing the work and you're doing it from a place of love and higher vibes, you do get rewarded. Like I do feel like I am blessed with my life. However, there were times I used to be scared of this gift, or I shouldn't use it, or is it wrong? Is it satanic? Do you know what I mean? All these different things, obviously the Bible. So I've had my own journey with all of that, which, I just, that's now just by the by. But so before I really got back into it in a big way and almost was shown that, Jason, this is what you need to do, I took a trip to Thailand, which, I mean, I don't know if you've read on the profile. So in 2011, in 2011, I wanted to go to Thailand for a spiritual experience. I was living in London at the time, and jetted to Koh Samui, went on this amazing trip, and I ended up falling off one of the highest waterfalls there. It's the dry season, so it's more like a cliff, and I fell 20 meters onto rock, broke my tib and fib. Somehow I'm still here. And yeah, so that happened. It was, I can't describe what that feeling feels like when you are convinced that's it, game over, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was almost like something majorly shifted at that point, but you don't realize it straight away. I mean, I was just very shocked that I was alive, and I'm here, and how I look like I do is just ridiculous. But
and then you just question
people,
everything of like what you want out of life, because you think, if I nearly died, what would I've changed if, it makes you reevaluate things, isn't it?
yeah, and things, obviously we look at the body and psychic messages and what does that mean. So obviously I broke my leg, it made me stop and stand still because I wasn't on my path. With my spiritual work, I was avoiding it, and when I've done that, I then get somewhere along the line punished, whether that's been an accident or a relationship would fail or something would go wrong. So now I can stay consistent, and I still do other things as well, because I couldn't just do this, because you have to live, and do your hobbies and things like that as well. But since that, I was off my feet for so long, so they put pins and plates in my ankle, but it wouldn't heal. So 3 months in, no, still not healed. Another 3 months, so a year I was off my feet. So it's almost like I went down this massive spiritual awakening / rabbit hole with why I was here, and learning about past lives and regression. Dolores Cannon, I like a lot of her work. And again, I never fully follow one person direct, because I think you can learn little bits from everybody, and sometimes we're not always right, or things like that. So I did get a lot from that though. So it gave me time to do that. I had past life regression, which confirmed that I wasn't on my path, and that was sent in to push me back onto what I'm doing now. So it was in the press and everything. So yeah, it was. I remember someone taking a photo when I was at the bottom of this cliff, thinking, who the hell's taking a photo right now? This is not the right time. So so that was a massive kind of shunt back onto my path when I was, I think, about 27. So it was a long time ago now. It feels like a dream, but it was painful. But yeah, on every level,
to get you back on the right path, like putting the rug from beneath you, but literally falling off a cliff, to make you realize that actually you need to be looking at another area of your life.
And this is the thing though as well, I do say to clients, I believe, and I never push my beliefs too strongly. I just think everyone they've got their own journey, and they're at different stages. But we do have soul contracts, and it's like, if you don't pay the bill, or you don't do what you need to do, the bailiffs come in. And I do tell clients this, that if they don't follow what they feel they should be doing, then the universe will kind of push you or shunt you in the right direction, like I have been. And the same with their partner, or they're being too slow with a relationship. At some point, when it affects two people, that 50-50 connection and the free will, something will happen to shift it anyway, beyond our control, or what we think we know or we can predict. I get so many people who say to me, oh, Jason, no, that's never going to happen. And I'm used to it. I've got thicker skin with it. I'm like, well, this is what I get. Just take time with it. And then maybe even an hour later, or days, or a few months later, oh my God, Jason, what you said's right. I'm like, told you so. So that is one of my favorite slogans now, in capital letters, of like, told you. And I have learned the most unbelievable things can happen. Obviously, me even living experiences of like near death, unbelievable. And I think we all forget the magic of life. And if we really focus on that, it's there. And I see that every day. So that's where I come from. But I'm a very grounded psychic medium, and I am more focused on the psychic, but it is through mediumship at the same time. So it depends on the client. We're all different. It's more like a bespoke situation. So for me personally, I prefer future, because I find that more interesting. It's knowledge is important. But what I do get with it is validation from either the guides that are around them, so certain names, astrological things that client would know that I won't know, which helps. But it also, I want it, so I know, oh, okay, that rubber stamps it for me about the future timeline and what I'm seeing here. Because what I have to do is ascertain, where are we on that timeline? Because time doesn't really exist. It's like an illusion. So I'm going, where are we? Are we right here now? Or am I just being pulled back to go forward sometimes to figure this out? So I'll be given the most random validations, which always makes sense at some point. Even recently this week, names that I've been given are names that I've never heard before, but they come in and I'm questioning it, going, really? And they're saying, yes, just say it. And then they'll be like, oh, yes, I know that name. It was one of my Muslim clients this week, and it was just like, I got Adam, But it's like, no, it's not Adam, it's Adnan. And I was like, is that even a name? I'm literally I have these questions and arguments in my head before I say it or present it to a client. And they're like, yes, just say it. I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yes. So then I said it, and she's like, yeah, someone very close to the family, have around my children, trust really well, and it helped validate something else that we were looking at. So those things come in all the time, and I love that. Because
and I think that's what people want. They want the validations, don't they? The people want to know that you are connecting with them and it's not just general or trying to make it fit. I think validations are so important, as well as bringing awareness to people so they can figure out and understand what's going on around them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we all want validation. I mean, you know, my journey, I've always had readings, and I can read for myself, but you can't beat someone else validating for you as well. So I do think it's important. And again, I even get it for clients, because I've obviously got a lot of regular clients, and I also read for a lot of other psychics as well, which I find a huge compliment, because, you know, that's your peers and people that you are connected to as well that come to you. So even with people that I know or personally know, I love it when a good bit of a validation comes in that they know that I won't know. And it can be sometimes the most random things, because then I'm like, for me, I'm like, okay, cool. At least I know where I'm going with the rest of this, because you can't really prove the future. So that's kind of how I work. And then if someone's calling and they are desperately like trying to connect to a loved one, I am working with them, but sometimes they don't always step forward fully, or I'll push on it, or they will really come through with full force when they need to. So I can think of a client who called me on Ask the Answer, and the first call, she's like, we've spoken for a few years. She's gorgeous. And, you know, the first time she called me, I was just like, okay, who's the cancer? Passed away, heart attack in the house. And she was, oh yeah, no, that's my husband. And it all happened recently. It's a trauma. And then I picked up on the kitchen and around the oven and the music. Then he showed me boxes of shoes and all of these different things. So I do love that, though, when someone needs that and comfort. And I mean, personally, I mean, I've gone through recently with my partner and his family, like his dad passed suddenly, which unfortunately it was one of those that I kind of predicted without wanting to focus on it as well. But I'll go into that in a minute. But I have had channeled messages from his dad to help him through what we've been going through, because he's been navigating a divorce and stuff. So it's helped massively. So I can use it for me, and I do work with spirit mostly, but I try not to focus on them or trying to describe them too much, because I want to help as much as I can about what to do moving forward. That's kind of my way I work, in a way. But every reading can be really different, but then there's certain key elements and basic things we can do to master this life. But going back, when I first met my partner, who also thankfully came through my readings in 2020, and we met in 2023, wasn't easy, like most of these love connections. So if any of my clients listen, you know, some of them know, because I always like to keep it real and personal with clients as well. And I get given codings and experiences that I've gone through instead of reading cards, to make sure I can understand the situation to translate to the person. So I was told in my readings in 2020 with one of my good friends that I've done a lot of work with as well. She said, look, I wasn't interested at the time. I was going through another breakup at the time, but she was like, there's this guy coming in and and all of the detail that's been bang on, but it was 3 years later. So that he came in my readings, and then also my now soon to be sister-in-law and his sister, she is also a psychic. She's a Pisces like me, and she read for him. They weren't as close as they are now, and she did a reading for him, and she does more kind of like channeled writing and email readings, and she did write my name and describe me. So he sent a photo, and she's like, yes, you need to meet him. So if it wasn't for readings, half of the things that I've done in my life I wouldn't be in now. So I know how much they help, and this is why it does annoy me sometimes when people just are so closed off to it, because I read for businessmen, top dogs in Hollywood, celebrities, everyday people. I love a business read. I love all of that. I find it fascinating. So it helps people. Like, you know, I've got a friend who's got a massive contract with one of the biggest cruise ships in the world that I predicted, said the amounts of money that he was going to be turning over 2 years before, and he's doing it now. Do you know what I mean? So business stuff, it does help. But going back, when I met my partner after the whole shebang of finally coming together from the readings, which wasn't easy, it was tricky. He's in fitness and wellness, so we were at Chamonix Springs and he was doing a presenters weekend. So we were getting to know each other, and obviously he was telling me about his sister, and I was saying about what I do. And I'm not a card reader, but I do use Psy cards. Have you ever heard of those?
Yes.
I think Lisa Williams has used them before and stuff. But that's what I kind of was taught with my psychics that were around me. So things just jump out at me, and they're more visual, and I feel they're very high vibration. So I was just going, oh look, these are my cards, this is what I use, and I naturally, just as I can, just sunk into a reading, and I started picking up on someone else who'd crossed over and described her. So, oh, that's one of my clients, and her name, I think she's called Sheila. But all of this was coming through, and I was like, oh god, I wasn't planning to go into this. And then I said, oh, but you need to spend more time with your dad. And in my head I thought, oh god, I hope that's not what I think it is, because obviously I'll always deliver the message in the most productive, high, helpful way. And then literally 4 months later, it all suddenly happened out of nowhere, and obviously was not expected. So though I do pick up, so again, I can read from people around me as well as clients, but you can't beat a bit of validation and going to other people. So yeah, I've never really followed one particular psychic. I've learned a lot from so many different people, and I always think you've got to trust your own voice. Like when you read anyway, you have to trust it. So I try not to get too influenced, and just, I'm open-minded to everything and everyone. But one thing I have always like stuck to was Dolores Cannon and what she talks about. So I always recommend past life regression to anybody, and the feeling and the quantum healing at the end was amazing. So yeah, so that's something I would always recommend.
And I think it's having that time, isn't it? And that space to have a psychic reading, because lots of people are so busy in their everyday life with work and other things going on around them. It gives them that chance just to stop and to listen and just to see what's going on from, you know, another perspective, and also just seeing what your options are, getting the validations that you might need, and just seeing what direction you're going in, and almost having that time to yourself to pick up that phone to get that insight. Because normally, like I said, you're running around like a headless chicken, maybe don't have time to switch off or to open up to see what's going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think I can touch base with people sometimes daily if they're going through something quite traumatic, or it could be every other week or every week or once a month or once a year. Everyone's different, and everyone, I think, knows when they need it, but it is helpful. And that's why I kind of dropped in about my own experiences. Like, if it wasn't for readings, I don't think I'd be in my relationship now. I would have deleted and blocked. And obviously, when I do a lot of relationship reads, communication these days and connection is so disconnected, because we don't physically meet anymore, do we? Which isn't a problem, because obviously I can tune into energy via, like, I always have my earphones in, so whoever I'm talking to, their voice is in my mind, and it helps me really tune in, which is brilliant. And I actually prefer that method more than in person, because people can distract, and it's better validation because it's so blind. There's one thing about Ask the Answer, it keeps you on your toes, because you're only ever as good as your last reading, because you can't prepare for it, really. I mean, I do get messages before I speak to someone, or if they pre-book, sometimes I'll scribe everything down, but it keeps you on your toes. So it's a good one for that, for me as well as a reader. And I'm like, oh bloody hell, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've just said that, and you know, there's normal me listening in at the same time as me doing it, and I'm just going, oh wow, and then I'm having multiple conversations in my head before I even speak to the client. So it's the only place I can multitask, Adele. Like, it's the only place I can do that.
It's nice because there's not all the calls are the same. Everyone's different, you know, like I said, all different things coming through, so it keeps it interesting for you. You know, it's, you know, it's not a boring profession.
No, it's not. And I think this is the thing. I think speaking to people and using the voice vibration, one, I am doing Reiki at the same time. It's something I've just realized it's a natural thing that, you know, and then I've tuned into it more and learned more about that. But you know, someone might come to me because they need that help. I mean, we're in a pandemic of mental health at the moment, so just knowing that you're on the right path sometimes, and also getting the healing element of a reading with me as well, is quite helpful, because I can see a shift from that person at the start of the call to the end of the call. And then I'll ask, I'm like, how do you feel? And I always gauge to people, like, how do you feel out of 10? Because it's always the easiest way to answer that one. So that's always a good one to go from the start of a reading sometimes, and how you feel afterwards. And I'm also very grounded and real with it. I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. And this is the thing I've experienced as well. When I've had readings, they say, oh, Jason, there's this and this. I'm like, oh God, that sounds amazing. And what I would do then is sit with it. And I would just, in my 20s especially, I go, that sounds amazing. So I'll just sit there waiting for it to come in and just realize that no one told me what to do next. You know, you're kind of left there with all the information, but I didn't know what to do. So this is where I've learned through my downloads and work and, you know, clients and myself, that you have to get up and keep moving and be in the present moment. Mind, body, soul, keep working out, keep busy, get into nature, all of those different things. Music is great, and obviously pay attention to lyrics and the vibration, but you've got to keep moving to bring things in, because so many people are focused and hyper focused on time. The universe doesn't really care what we think about time, and I am so impatient, like I have an Aries moon. So this is something that I can look at, but I've got like an invisible leaderboard in my head with a lot of my clients of like, you're really good at it, you're terrible, right? And I used to be on the bottom as well. I used to be terrible because I was never shown how to work with readings and how to shift the energy and how to allow it in or release it, let it go, and let it just come in and shock and surprise you. Because that's the whole thing about readings. There is things that you're not going to know and expect, hence the reason for a reading, especially for the future, because sometimes people think they know what it's going to be and they think it's all doom and gloom, or they think they know the answer, and it will always probably be something different and better from what you think at the time. And I've experienced that too. So even back in the day when I was told, oh, Jason, you're going to get back into TV and film, and I can see you on in a music video, and I was just going, what? In my head I was going, no, you've got this so wrong. And then literally a week later an agent contacted me. So you've got to come from that place of yes and just go with it, because the universe always has bigger plans for us than we realize. So I would always say to anyone, if you've never read with me before, just come in open-minded and just see where it takes you, and give it a bit of time as well, but try not to focus on time.
I was going to say, do you have to come through with a specific question, or can they just say, you know, what can you see for me?
Well, when I work,
What do I need to know?
when I work, if it's like one of my clients off my website, then I have time to kind of sit and channel. I don't with Ask the Answer because it's fast, it's straight in, but I still get messages before I pick up the phone. I do, like, quite quickly, and I'll write them down quickly as well. But when people call me, I will just clock into their voice. I don't want them to really tell me too much, because it helps validate, especially if it's a first read. And then I will go into what they maybe need to know, whether they realize or not, and what I'm picking up on. And then it normally makes sense. Like, it will either take me into the relationship or take me into something, or I'll be given a star sign where we need to look. And sometimes that doesn't always make sense. I'll never forget one of my clients on here, and she's a Sagittarius, I love her energy, and she came in and she was really upset and hung up on a Taurian ex. And I was just going, but I don't remember this either, Adele. I don't remember readings. I need to get this in as well, because it freaks me out when people come back to me and they think I remember, which I don't, and I'll go into that in a bit. But she came to me, and the first read was quite a powerful one. I don't remember. Obviously, it was recorded so she could listen back. And I said, but who's the Leo? You're going to marry a Leo. And obviously, she wasn't ready to hear that at the time, because she's so focused on this ex-Taurine at that time. Fast forward a year later, she's with a Leo, you know, it's all good, they're going to get married, etc. So, do you know what I mean? So you've got to trust the process. We've got to trust this. Like, I have to trust it, because I can't prove everything. I'll try and get as much as I can, or as much detail, but we have to trust this whole life and this process, and you have to trust the reading. You have to come in open. If you come in with like shaky, weird energy, or trying to be tricky, it really makes it difficult. It's like trying to play the radio station on the wrong station, and it sounds a bit crackly, and you can't. It's not clear. It's the best way to describe it. It's not. No one's trying to read you, because I can't see that person. I've not seen their eyes. I'm not seeing their, you know, anything like that. It's just it doesn't help. I've even had people come in before and give me a fake name, and I'll just then end up coming out with their real name, and they go, oh, that's me. And I'm going, hang on a second, that's not you. Do you know what I mean? So I've had that happen before. So many different things, but I do like to channel. So what I would do beforehand is write an A4 piece of paper, and things would just scribe. My handwriting looks like doctor's handwriting. It's terrible. So I would go through that, and that would normally answer a lot of what they were going to come in with anyway, and also things that they're not aware of. And again, I can do that very, very quickly. So that's a good one to do, and how I tend to work. So it helps validate and make that client feel comfortable straight from the get-go. And then I can do a spread if they want that. And then if they want questions, or we ask questions off the back of what's come in already. So I try to tailor it and have some sort of structure, but it's stressful for me, because when I've worked in anything else before, you can be organized and be practical, and then you can't with this. I've learned to trust it. And you just don't know, so you have to be open-minded.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Jason, even with our conversation, when we're just chatting, doing a podcast, you know, finding out about you, are you getting things coming through? Do you have to be open to it, or does it you shut off when you're doing a job or a different profession, or will you always get messages coming through? You know, whoever you're speaking to.
I don't, because this is what I did an event last weekend. We do our own events. They're called like Rise Up, and they're really cool. And it's all about upliftment, and it's yoga, Pilates, everything. And I do kind of like a really fun workshop with all of the things that I've learned. And I said in it, I said, look, because a lot of them there didn't really know what I do, because I do genuinely keep it quiet because I'm trying to live a normal life as well. And it does become, people get obsessed with the energy. They want to be around you. They want to become your new best friend because they want to keep asking you questions. So I can tune in a millisecond if I need to, but you have to control that as well, because I am like an iPhone. I've only got a certain amount of battery and I need to charge myself back up. So I'm always good with that, and consistent with looking after myself, because I'm no good to anybody else either if I'm not 100%. What I do say to people is, don't panic. I'm not reading you, you know, even on a date, or back in the day when I met my partner, we dated, and it's like, I'm not reading you, like, because you don't, it's free will. Like you can't just do a reading. Someone's got to come to you and kind of do that exchange in a way. It's a free will activity. And again, you can only go so far if someone's asking about someone else. I can remote view in those things, but there's, again, boundaries with that. And that's another podcast. But
definitely. So how often are you doing these, would you say? How often are you tapping into that energy?
Oh, it's like a full-time profession. Like it's every week, unless I'm away on a trip or doing other events and stuff like that. So like at least 5 days a week, maybe more. But I balance it out. You know, I regulate how I am with it, because I do say I'm like an iPhone. So I've got a certain amount of battery, and then I've only got a certain amount of gigabyte. And then I tap into the cloud with that person's account details, their, you know, date of birth, and then I'm allowed to see in. But as soon as that shuts down, I can't have access to that any longer. So I'm also not dabbling with that energy. So it's definitely a free will exercise. And I'm not reading people when I'm around them. But again, that's something that if people know what I do, it can stop social kind of connections and stuff, because they get paranoid that I'm seeing stuff that they're up to and stuff, which if I'm in danger or I need to, it will flag up. Do you know what I mean? My spidey senses will pick up for me, and I'll pick up on things. So it's something that I just tune into naturally. And I get visions, I get words, I get things shown into my mind. That's kind of how it comes in with me.
And do you prefer doing phone readings or face, or do you like performing and being on the stage when it comes to your psychic work?
Well, the stage thing, again, I always say in life, things that are meant to happen at the right time, and they find you. It depends. So it depends. So for actual reading and really focusing one-on-one, I do much prefer the method of over the phone, because it really does help validate for that person. I think it's got more of that wow factor, especially for future, where they've seen a photo of me or whatever, and I don't see anything of that. I mean, I do get a lot from photos as well. They are really, really good. But I don't see anything. I'm not reading them. And then I like when I can hear that like mouth open sometimes, of like, oh my, you know, that pause, and I'm just like, cool, that's good for me, because I want to know that I'm on the right track too. So I prefer that, because some people can distract and get in the way. Because if someone's in front of me going, shaking their head going, no, I can deal with it over the phone because I can eye roll, but I'm going, wait and see. But if it's in front of me, I find it more distracting.
Because it must be a lot of pressure being on the stage, you know, when people are, you know, all looking at you, a bit like a comedian, really, going, right, come on, impress us, show us what you can bring through, and are you going to pick up anything on me? I find that really daunting.
Well,
you have to be really confident in your ability.
I avoid doing like a stage read, because there's too many energies, and I've done an online one before where I was doing that for a bit, and again, it's just, I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. It's very draining, and I mean, I sweat a lot when I read anyway, bear in mind trying to do something like that, because you're in that higher state of consciousness almost. So I don't tend to do that. And also because my partner works in fitness, and he does like massive like yoga retreats in Ibiza, and obviously we do them around the UK, but he, you know, he'll be doing a class going, oh my God, smile. Because people, when you are in that crowd, they just look at you with a dead face and you're not sure whether they're enjoying it or not. And then obviously then they come to you after, oh my God, I love that. And you're thinking, oh my God, you're the one person I thought was having a terrible time. But what I do on these events and stage, it's more about making stuff happen and all the knowledge that I've learned at this age. Because I know I'm 41, but I feel like I'm about 501 with an old soul. But I'd like to try and help people in a fun way explore spirituality without it being like wookie kooky, taboo, feathers in the hair, very grounded, and tell my story. And then a really cool exercise that I did as part of this was I got everybody up and into Chinese whispers. So I got groups of about 8, 4, 3, and 6, and I had a little paragraph for each of these 4 groups. And then the final one was I think I wrote this paragraph. It said there was a young baby boy born in the Middle East who was gifted frankincense, incense, and myrrh by 3 wise men so many years ago. Just a paragraph like that. And this was only 4 people. By the end of it, that message in that moment, at that time, didn't get relayed correctly at all. So it makes you just think and question, where do we get our information from? You know, who can we trust? You know, AI, all these different. So that was part of that. And then another exercise was just helping people self-compass and regulate their own compass and psychic ability with, you know, so Adele, if you think about something that you really want right now, like what's a goal for like 2026? If you can share it, or you don't have to, if you got something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've got 2 things I'm already setting next year. 2 things. So one is I've invested some money into a clothing range for my son. He's into his rugby. We've started up a rugby clothing range. So I really want that still to take off and get the profit coming in for that to be successful. And the other one is I'm in the fitness industry as well. So I'm doing my British boxing qualification. So then we can go amateur with our boxing club.
Oh, amazing. We might have to link up there then. Because we do all of that. Like we're doing this January event and that's got boxing and stuff in there as well. So it's everything from line dancing, silent disco, yoga, Pilates, me doing what I do. So that would be cool. But yeah, so if you just think about, say, for example, the clothing line for a second, right? Just think about that. If I I want to get you into your stomach just to feel it. Say that doesn't happen. How does that feel in your stomach? If that didn't go anywhere and it failed, you didn't do it, you didn't push through.
It would be disappointing, but I know that I've put as much as I can into it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think when you've gone
how's
so
that feel? How does it feel? Because you're thinking about it more than feeling.
A little bit uneasy because you think
that exactly. So it feels exactly. So it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel great, does it? In the stomach. So then let's say, okay, it's done amazing, it's selling out, it's gone live, it's gone to America. Do you know what I mean? All of that. How does that feel?
But all the hard work's paid off, so that feels great.
How does it feel? How does it feel in your stomach or your soul? Yeah, exactly. So that's something day to day, which, you know, I want to help as many, because I find myself, I have to repeat so many different things. So it'd be great that's on this podcast for people to revert back to and listen to, and clients and things, because we've all got that day to day. And sometimes the lightness is yes, right now. The heaviness might be, oh my God, no, but it might be different in a week's time. It could be yes in a week's time as well. So it's just something, an exercise to do. It's really simple. We've all got it. We know what we need to be doing in our path that keeps you on your path. So all of those little things where I just make spirituality fun and understandable and not so, oh, I'm more enlightened than you. Do you know what I mean? So you can have that at retreats and stuff if you've been before. So that's what I'm really all about, and keeping it really real and grounded. So those are things we do, and so we'll be doing more events and stuff, and I've just moved to the Isle of Wight, so it's a beautiful place for it as well. So we're going to do some festivals and stuff, which will be really cool.
Nice.
So that's more the stage work that I would do. Deb's my partner Mike's sister. She keeps pushing, going, I think you're going to do proper stage work. I'm like, I don't get enjoyment from that though. I don't want to do that. And obviously I do get approached for TV, and again, I don't want to be known for it when I walk down the street, which you know, I want to keep it under, like, just the people that get it, if that makes sense. That community.
Absolutely. Do what you enjoy. So I mean, it sounds like you're a busy guy, you've got lots coming up. And what are your plans for next year, apart from obviously you mentioned the retreats and more of obviously on the Ask the Answers phone lines? Any more goals?
Yeah, well, the good thing is it's like obviously growing on Ask the Answer, and it'll be 3 years in January that I've been on the site, which is amazing. Spencer's lovely, so it's a good place to be, and I love the fact that it's so international as well, which is great. I love that we're able to connect to so many people around the world, so it's brilliant. And then next year, well, I got engaged in July, so in the Lake District, and then our wedding we've just been planning this week, so that's going to be on the Isle of Wight and the Botanical Gardens, and again that's where we're going to do some retreats, I think, as well, because it's amazing for that. So we've got that in July next year. Currently in the process of exchanging on a house here, so that's all going through, and the holiday let, so we've got that going as well. So and events, and a bit like you, like we've started doing apparel and stuff like that with for the Rise Up brand, but also because I'm all about, obviously the words and things like that are important when we manifest, like I am. So I am whatever you want to be. You can manifest those words in if you've got the right subconscious brain. But like I do class myself as I am Psychic Jason. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I do. That's me and my being and what I'm here to do. So it's expanding on that brand as well with what I'm doing, and the same with what you're doing with yours. And things like that. And we create these bracelets and stuff as well. So there's that. But I'm all about just trying to help people master this life and live a dream life. And a dream life doesn't mean an easy life, because obviously we have many things to go through. But I do believe psychic readings have helped my life. So therefore, I'm trying to help other people, whether they realize it or not, or realize they need it. But we all connect who we're supposed to connect with, and obviously there's loads of readers on the site as well, so you'll always find your fit. And one of the major things, before I forget, actually, was about Grabovoi numbers and numerology and manifestations that I think is good to bring in. So one thing that I swear about, and any of the clients that have read with me know I just bang on about it all the time, and half of them listen and then don't follow through and carry on. So as you know, working in fitness, if you want a six-pack, if you want to look great, obviously you do, you've got to commit to it, and you've got to have routine and work for it. So the same goes with our spiritual work. So I always tell people about Grabovoi numbers, spelled Grabovoi. So you can look that up too. So this is what's helped crack the code for me. So when I told you in my 20s I would have readings, I would then sit there going, well, what's happening? She said it's next month. Why has it not happened yet? I realized I was the problem, not the reader, because it all happened at some point, but I slowed it down because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't in the present moment. I wasn't taking action and living my yes, and getting to that place. So that was my fault. But what I've learned with manifestation, so those who might have read The Secret or anything where it talks about how to use words to manifest, or spells or Wicca, or all of those different things, you can write, I am now happy that I am a millionaire. I'm happy and grateful that I am now a millionaire. And your subconscious brain will go, no, you're not. It's never going to happen. How's that going to happen? You've got that bill, you've got this. So the subconscious, from society and family and ourselves, we block ourselves. So I do work on that when I'm reading with someone and dust it out. But numbers have no emotions attached to them. I mean, I'm a 5 for me is important because I was born on the 5th, and it's always been a lucky number, but that's a good thing. We don't have sadness or trauma linked to numbers mostly. Maybe a specific date if someone passed us, something like that, but this doesn't get confused. So it's really logical, and I love anything spiritually logical that anyone can get, especially my earth signs. My partner's a Taurus, so he gets this. I use them all the time, and it works. Sometimes I regret using them because it can go a bit crazy. So for example, if you do a financial one, or you do a few of the financial ones, it goes absolutely mental. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so busy now. I wish I didn't do this now. So it's one of those, right? Yeah, especially on a full moon or things like that, or a new year, like it's powerful. And that people tap into good and bad energy on this planet, and I do believe there is both. I don't believe it's all love and light, and you have to be aware of that. And obviously protect your energy and what you're tuning into, but there is laws to this universe, and whether it's music, light, frequency, the numbers are easier to deal with than words. So this is almost like a cheat code to the universe. So you can look them up online, they're everywhere. Not many people do use them that often or work with them, but it does work. You can do it for love, romance, new job, new home, all of these different things. So all you do is you look at what code you want to order. Okay, I'm going to take, I keep it simple, take a pen, right-handed, right on my left palm, let it wash off. The best time to do it is before bed, because then it's the path of least resistance and letting go. Let it wash off, forget about it. And then once it comes in, then you do your next order, your next code. I say it's a bit like Amazon Prime. The financial ones come in pretty quick, like next day. But then love and romance, they take longer. There's different time frequencies for each. So I remember doing the True Love code on the 14th of February 2023, Valentine's Day. And my now relationship, obviously we're engaged to get married, and it was in my readings, came in about 5 months after that. So physically, but communication came in about a month and a half or 2 months after that. And I was really clever with it. I used my social media. I put a post with the numbers on it. So I've played around with it in different ways. So when I learn new things and new experiences, I always share it with clients and make sure they can master their lives with it too. So it's amazing, Adele. Like, have you ever tried it?
I haven't, no, but I'm going to, because I love a bit of Amazon.
Yes, same. So, and also, like, again, a lot of people can work with sigils and signs like that. Like, there's a particular massive household name pop star that I don't like to give people's information away, that I've connected with and read for, and he's got like the Archangel Michael sigil on his hand as part of his whole tattoo sleeve, and that's always for protection. So those work as well, because we don't have any emotional connection or blocks with them. So it's about bypassing the subconscious and going a bit deeper. So that's one thing that I swear by, and people, I think, get annoyed with me going on about it all the time. But I'm like, well, have you done it recently? No. Oh, I guess I should do it, because the last time I did it, loads of money came in. And when we do these events and retreats, like, we were living in a beautiful thatched cottage before we moved to the Isle of Wight, and we would do really nice at-home retreats, and there's a church next door, and we do yoga in the church with candlelight. It's beautiful. And before they would go into that, I would get them to write the Grabovoi number on their hand before they go into their practice, because obviously, as you know, movement of the body releases all the old crap and all the old traumas in the body that are trapped there. So it all works in conjunction. So that's a really good tool to use, and just, it's easy. It takes 2 seconds to pick a number. Okay, I want a new house. I want the money. I want money now. There's different codes for so many different things. And there's a menu. So you just pick what you want, write it on your hand, forget about it, let it wash off, and then just watch what happens. And everybody, even in retreats, when we've done these before, they will say, they've come out of the yoga and the meditation portion, and they'll be like, oh my God, I've just had a message of this booking and this and that. So the money ones do work quick. So if you know how to shift energy, which I've learned, and I will be the first one to hold my hands up, I was slow, I was terrible. So it's one way to really master your life. And I think as humans, we overcomplicate these things, don't we?
We do indeed. I mean, this is like a whole podcast in itself that we could have another catch up on. I'm like, I'm just a bit aware of the time, and I'm like, there's so much more.
I know, I'm terrible. I am a talker.
No, sorry. It's been great. I mean, it's just flown by. I'm like, oh no, the
I
time.
knew it would.
There you go. We can leave the carrot dangling for people, and people maybe
we will do more.
Some of these things that you've talked about, and come back and let us know how things have developed from there. I'm going to practice a few of the things that you've mentioned, but there's so much that you've talked about today that not only is very helpful, but it's very insightful. It's, made people a bit more aware of how you work and what they're going to get from a reading. Of course, you mentioned your lucky number, so to speak, is number 5. Your PIN number begins with the number 5, 500088. If you want to go through and have a reading with Jason. But Jason, we are going to have to wrap it up. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today. Any final words? You've got 30 seconds.
I think everybody deserves to master their life. So I just want to help you with that and make you the best version of yourself and your highest timeline. And there's no judgment. It's a safe space and it's very grounded. And hopefully you've got that impression from what we've discussed today. And Adele, definitely go and do the unexpected money code once we finish this, because it will be a good energy right now.
Definitely. I'm going to do it. Jason, it's been amazing speaking to you. Thank you so much for coming live on air today. And hopefully we'll catch up very soon.
Thank you. Big love and light.
Take care. Bye, Jason.
Take care. Bye-bye.